HMS Queen Elizabeth is the largest warship ever built for the Royal Navy, by far. Stretching longer than the Houses of Parliament and standing taller than Nelson's Column, an aircraft carrier so immense that different sections have had to be constructed in different shipyards throughout Great Britain, and then transported by barge to Scotland for final assembly. It's taken 10,000 workers 8 years to build Britain's first supercarrier.
Putting the great back into Great Britain. What a wonderful thing to be part of.
But as this gargantuan carrier takes shape and prepares for sea, there is one vital missing ingredient.
The ship is just a metal box, but it's a waste of time. It's useless. It's only when you add in the human component, blood and flesh, does it become a warship.
This is the extraordinary story of the men and women who must breathe life into HMS Queen Elizabeth. How will these naval pioneers transform her from floating building site to frontline ship of war? They'll be embarking on perilous make-or-break sea trials in which everything must be tested for the first time. From galleys to guns, and from power plants to propellers. One thing is for certain, it won't be plain sailing.
Fire, fire, fire. Flood, flood, flood in 8 Romeo.
Casualty, casualty, casualty!
Everything electrical, get all the electrical panels covered up.
This is not going to be a bed of roses. It's an absolute certainty that things won't go as planned.
This ship's company are training up to go to war. That is what this is about. It's not about looking pretty.
If anyone thinks it's easy, then they're fooling themselves. This is tough stuff.
This is the inside story of Britain's biggest warship. After 8 years in build, HMS Queen Elizabeth ventures to sea for the first time.
We're doing what we should be doing now. You know, we're no longer a building site, we're a ship.
This is a combination of years of work from everyone, particularly the last 6 months when we just need to get out now.
There's a quarter of the ship's company who've never been to sea before, and what a vessel to get to sea on. Absolutely fantastic.
But untried and unproven, she now faces 6 weeks of grueling sea trials to test her propulsion, endurance, and speed.
OK, Roger. Check quarters. Clear the port.
Midship.
Midship. Wheels and midship.
435.
435.
As a prototype, Queen Elizabeth needs to be pushed. If not to destruction, then certainly to breaking point. And if they need to break her, they will. She must be proven for combat.
Still no movement. Okay, officer watch 5.
24 hours after leaving Rosyth Dockyard, she's in the Firth of Forth off the east coast of Scotland, limbering up for the rigorous sea trials ahead in the North Sea, her ultimate proving ground.
Wheel increasing. 3, 2, 1, port 35.
On board, 200 construction workers still finishing off the build, and 700 Royal Navy sailors for whom this will be a voyage into the unknown. Many have never been to sea before, and their great challenge will be to help transform Queen Elizabeth from an embryonic prototype to a fully functioning frontline warship. Every man and woman must step up to the mark.
And you've forgot the life jackets. Not a good start. I don't want any mess up. Now.
Everybody's got a job to do. Make sure you help your oppo out. Trust me, if you don't, you'll be getting my size 7 up the crack of your backside.
Probably got, I don't know, between 40–50% of brand new sailors, you know, on board. And then also you've got the other old hands, a lot of people that haven't been at sea for a long, long time. So end of the day, it's a brand new ship, brand new technology. So really, you're resetting them back to zero again as well.
So steep learning curve for all of you.
Oh yeah, I think we're near enough vertical.
This is Queen Elizabeth's nerve centre, deep in the belly of the ship. Here, teams monitor every part of the supercarrier, 24 hours a day. And it's not long before they have to react to their first emergency.
Smoke alarm, smoke alarm, smoke alarm. Attack party to investigate.
Fire, fire, fire. 5-man team ready at 4.1.
Well done, mate, well done.
Command huddle, HQ1, flash reports only.
Command huddle, give noise down!
A steam explosion in a cooling plant has misted up the closed-circuit cameras. No one quite knows what's happened. Dave Garraghty, Executive Warrant Officer, is always one of the first on the scene in any emergency.
Zone 6.
Hey, it's like a sauna in here. You guys working out?
It's not a lot less steamy.
Flash, boundary search complete. There are no further incidents or hotspots.
The pipe we've got down there is a high pressure salt water pipe. That's heated up and it is blown off the pipe there, as you can see.
Ballast line is called, isn't it? It's overheated and blew there.
We've got CCTV down here in the HQ1. When you look on the screen, you see all that, you instantly go, bloody hell, that's smoke. So you get down here and actually it's steam, but never a dull moment at the moment, you know.
A gremlin in the system, but at least no one was injured.
Therefore, stand down the SSEP.
But how many more gremlins are stored away on the mothership? That's the question. It's the purpose of sea trials to find out, and it's up to the ship's company to hunt them down, not only to make Queen Elizabeth an effective warship, but also a safe place to live. Royal Navy sailors often refer to their ships as grey villages, self-contained, close-knit communities floating on the high seas. But HMS Queen Elizabeth is far too big to be a village. If anything, she's set to become the Navy's first grey city.
Hey, fingers, you need to move your eggs from here, man.
Vibrant, bustling, multicultural.
It's all happening. Curry night tonight, curry night. Poppadom's getting done.
Leading chef Mohamad Khan, known to all as Wes, has been in the Navy for 16 years. But this is the first time he's taken a ship on sea trials.
Oh, it's all the rush, the cooking. You don't know what's going to happen. There might be a flood or something, and then we have to take off. It's all the excitement.
Hot tray, I get priority. What?
Is it better being at sea?
Definitely, I think it's about time we came to sea. We've been alongside for a long time. And, oh, I felt that. Did you feel it? Move. I thought we won't feel anything on here. It does move.
I've got a Facebook. I've got a Facebook which has got me in trouble at work a couple of times, like.
Ricky Gleeson, an aircraft handler, also helps run the ship's state-of-the-art rubbish disposal system, known as the pyrolysis plant. For him, it's almost a calling.
I used to be a bin man in Gateshead briefly for a summer. So, yeah, I'm all right with the rubbish. And
What do you like about it?
it's honest work. So, like this, it's honest work. The rubbish needs to be got rid of, so you get rid of it. If I could be a bin man again, I'd happily be a bin man for the rest of my days.
Oh, stop there. Stop there. Flies coming in, won't it?
Dave Garraghty is also responsible for morale and welfare on board, and ever eager to give the place his personal stamp.
Oh, look at that. That works, doesn't it? Charity shop, RSPCA. Doing a bit for charity.
All life is here, a little Britain on the ocean wave. For the sailors, a home from home.
How do you, gentlemen? Oh, a bit of Baywatch, we like that.
The mess decks where the sailors live and sleep have been quickly personalised.
Hey, it looks completely different. You're really making it your own. And a mirror just to check yourselves out. How are we doing? Tired. So you're going to get your heads down tonight?
But this is still the military, and everywhere is subject to daily inspection.
Master has found a pillow without a pillowcase.
This is the bottom one.
A grey city then, but ever surrounded by a hostile environment that takes no prisoners.
Man overboard, port side, away, starboard seaboat, away, starboard seaboat. Man overboard.
Maintain red on the boat.
Starboard side.
So watch sea temperature's 13.5 degrees.
Okay, away, port, seaboat.
The man overboard in this area is not good because the sea stays quite rough, so it's very difficult to spot a man in the water.
So a life buoy has been released, so we don't know if someone has gone over the side or not. Therefore, we need to account for all our personnel. Not an exercise, this is for real.
From the bridge, they've spotted billowing smoke. It's coming from a lifebuoy armed with a built-in smoke canister. Is it an accidental release, or is there someone out there? No one is taking any chances. Another warship in the vicinity immediately joins the search, and so does her helicopter.
Good job to watch. Roger, just make sure that you have a good search in that area.
Ewo speaking. Commence Operation Thimble Hunt. Commence Operation Thimble Hunt. All personnel not on watch are to muster in their respective mess decks.
Operation Thimble Hunt is a full ship search. All 700 sailors and 200 construction workers must be accounted for as soon as possible.
So the phase one is the critical piece, which is actually just seeing if somebody is missing.
An important part of Dave's job is to be the eyes and ears of the captain on the ground, so he always has to be where the action is.
Do it nice and slow time, nice and calm, mate. Happy. So what the team are doing now, these are our industry partners. We believe it may have been a spurious alarm, but we can't know that for sure until we've mustered everybody and see if they're there.
The search is fast and thorough. Everyone is accounted for, and no one is in the water. But this is an early reminder that a warship is a dangerous place to be, and people need to be ever vigilant.
Yeah, very pleasing, very rapid response. Sutherland came in very fast. Luckily, we're on top of that lifebuoy within, 2 minutes?
Roger, that alarm has stopped sounding. Was there any evidence as to how they were released?
Why the lifebuoy ended up in the water is a mystery, but probably a technical fault. Another gremlin in the system.
I said try and steady her up. Off boat rope.
Wheel coming on to starboard. Stop pumps 2 and 3.
Stop pumps 2 and 3. Pumps 2 and 3, stop, sir.
Pressure on us is quite immense at the moment. Every morning, I normally wake up to around about 50 or 60 emails. So before I do anything, I just have a little bit of white space and just have a look at the fish tank.
Dave snatches a little downtime before the day explodes into action.
Keep going, guys!
First circuit start at 6.
Last 20 seconds! Let's go, let's go! Lunges here with the cowbells. Change! Switch! Thank you.
In the galley, Wes, a devout Muslim, is known as a meat dish wizard.
I'm making a marinade for the pork. It's good. Yeah. Well, I don't know. I can't eat it, so they'll let me know whether it's good or bad. It's a bit hard touching it. When I joined up, I didn't actually think about that till training. The first time when I was going to do a pork dish, because I refused to touch the pork, I thought that was it. We came to a conclusion with the Imam that so long as I'm wearing gloves, it's fine. So I've got the gloves on. And I can't taste it though.
The ship's state-of-the-art pyrolysis plant reduces all rubbish and waste to a fine carbon residue.
Just general, yeah.
But everything that goes into it has to be separated first.
No metal or glass, mate. There's no metal or glass in it. They're supposed to separate stuff and take the metal out and take the glass out and everything. But you get people coming along, like some guy yesterday came along with these orange bags and dumped them down. And as soon as he dumped them down, I heard a clang So I was saying, is there any metal in those, mate? And he was like, no, no, no. And he was trying to sort of get out of the room as quickly as possible. I was like, holding our check. And then the first thing I pulled out was this. So you're like, well, clearly that's metal, mate. And he was, oh, I didn't know it was there, I didn't know it was there. So that's the problem, is that people try and hide. I mean, deodorant and that, you can understand, it just slips in without realising it. But when they're putting big bits of sort of aluminium in it, you know they're lying. Bastards, basically. Bastards.
What year into the Navy?
I'd exhausted all other opportunities, pretty much. I was a typical naughty kid in school. I was in and out of trouble. I was in and out of care, then I was in and out of trouble. I was homeless for a long time. So I started stealing from pizza shops. I was looking for food all the time, and then we burgled one shop and got a load of cigarettes, and the next day we made like £600–700, and from there we stopped looking for food and started looking for money. So by the time I was 21, I had 49 convictions for stealing things and fighting all the time, and yeah, nothing I'm proud of. What's that? Is that just domestic? Shit, yeah. There's no metal or...
Cheers, Ricky.
No worries, mate.
Queen Elizabeth has come back into the Firth of Forth for an important rendezvous. 2 Royal Navy warships and helicopters have come to pay their respects.
Lovely to see 2 Type 23 frigates just sail past us here, HMS Sutherland and HMS Iron Duke. Fantastic, and lots of Merlin helicopters around.
Queen Elizabeth will be a mobile airfield capable of launching up to 40 aircraft, either jet fighters to deliver lethal force to an enemy, or helicopters to bring humanitarian aid to the needy. But she will never go to sea on her own. She's too valuable and too vulnerable. She will always be at the centre of a task group, surrounded by escorting warships to protect her from enemy attack, whether from the air, the surface, or under the water.
This is the start of the journey now, the carrier strike journey, because it's a strategic asset, and the very nature of it is about power projection. It's actually the combination of all those different force elements, ships, frigates, destroyers, submarines, aircraft, coming together at once that really gives you that military potency. Even just 2 days out from build now, we can already see the culture of the Royal Navy coming back into task groups. There's a sense of purpose and a bit of power. It's great, isn't it?
HMS Queen Elizabeth will be Britain's main conventional strategic deterrent for many years to come, and will be the most closely guarded warship in our naval history. Today, the escorts are only here for a couple of hours, but this is a glimpse into Queen Elizabeth's future. And the next small step towards that brave new world will take place in a couple of days, when a Merlin helicopter will be the first aircraft ever to attempt a landing on her flight deck.
Three out of action. I mean, that's... There's somebody in there, is there? So we've got 2 out of action.
First Lieutenant Bob Hawkins, 38 years in the Navy, was a naval clearance diver, a bomb disposal expert. Now, amongst other things, he's in charge of the ship's heads, or toilets.
Well, once upon a time, Chris, I used to blow shit up. Now I just clean shit up. We're just beginning to learn our ship. We've got, all that harbour hassle that goes, the build hassle, quite frankly, of us being alongside there, as we're away from that now. But while people are living in the ship, you then get to understand how people are using the ship. And that includes things like general purpose heads. Right, so that's out of order. God knows what's in there. Oh, look at that. I mean, that's unsat. Because the next thing is that people are going to have a dump in here and they're going to start putting brown paper down there, which is going to cause a blockage. The important point here is these can be a real breeder of disease, so we've got to make these heads out of bounds. So it's for public safety.
A new ship is like a new house.
We're just going to clean them.
No, just go.
There's always going to be some snags with the basics, whether the toilets flush or whether the doors work.
We had a few minor injuries caused by the doors. Okay, so the problem we've been having with these, actually clip back. allow you to open the door. That's been the problem. It should stay up, yeah, because otherwise, as you walk through...
The doors are horrendous. Unfortunately, when I stepped through, literally as the door opened and I took a step going out, the door handle swung back on my face. Hence the nickname Rocky in the department, so...
It's your first war wound?
It's my first war wound, yeah. Well, day 2 at sea, I've already got a war wound, so I'm quite... But you know what, I'd still rather be at sea than alongside, so it's worth it.
Fire danger, fire danger, fire danger. Fire danger in location 5 Kilo Zulu 4.
Now, there's been a fuel leak in one of the engine rooms.
Casualty, casualty, casualty! Casualty in 8 Foxtrot! Come here, shipmate, come here. I've got you, come on. I've got you. All right, just get you out. Come here, just get you out. There's a dock, there's a dock.
There you go, come on. I've got you from behind.
A burst fuel filter has left diesel spraying across the engine room, striking a sailor right in the face. The team spreads foam to smother the fuel, now running free in the engine space. It's a real fire hazard.
Keep that airlock thing going. If this goes, that's going to go straight up the airlock. Make sure the airlock's shut. Airlock discipline, fellas. Shut one door, open the other.
Firefighters get ready just in case.
Stand by, just putting the team in position.
Now in the bilge well, sunk a bilge well now. The fuel got up probably about 2/3 of the way along.
They race to shut off the fuel, and soon a blanket of foam covers the leaked diesel.
Do you need some more foam?
No, you're good. No, we're good.
Okay, bud.
Where did it go, man?
Over Soapy, he would have been about this position, so literally he copped it. The seal popped directly in front of him, and he got it all. You think that could happen any day, you know. It's unfortunate that fuel got on somebody's face, but like I say, we ended up with no fire, got the foam blanket down, so everything was made safe as quick as possible for a ship that's only been at sea for, what, 1 and a bit days. You know, very quickly people went back into their being a matlow at sea, rather than, you know, being a civvy in a building site.
And is your man all right, do you know?
Oh, I don't know, it should be. He ran past me at a rate of knots, so yeah, it'd be good.
In fact, I'm going sick. I need to go in sick bay and discuss them anyway.
Another gremlin wrestled to the ground, but it's meant Dave Garraghty missed his tea.
Are these donuts meant for sharing? Because I don't think we're really scrum today.
Oh,
I've got I'll do a lot of
that. Dave's been run off his feet all day, and he's not finished quite yet.
Right, Ross, that was nice, mate, all right? I've got a new addition for the office. This is the summer collection now. 1940s vintage. This came from the car boot, but it's under £15. They are fire retardant, having survived the blitz.
That's the second of 2.
I'm going to try and find the provenance of them. They may have come out of a stately home. There's been suggestions of itchiness. I think it's all psychological. I think these are fine vintage. There's no fleas in these, honestly.
Excuse me, I've got the war wound because I was charged. Itchiness, bites there, all over the place.
Charity shops, antique shops. Paid £1 for it from car boot. Car boot, £5. Car boot sale, £15. I think I've got quite a niche market though. Yeah, so if you like 70s retro shit, then come and see me.
Navigator speaking. The focus for today, which is a historic one, is the first landing of a helicopter from 820 Squadron on our flight deck. It's the day we become an aircraft carrier.
The flight deck teams have been training for this day for nearly 2 years. First, they must walk the length of the carrier, bigger in area than 3 football fields, to check there's no debris that could damage the aircraft.
Fuel contamination, and the only place it's taking fuel is Lossy.
2 helicopters are expected, although right now they're running late.
The one thing perhaps I'd bring out is this morning we woke up in what we would call red, really poor conditions, cloud was on the deck, no visibility whatsoever. We probably wouldn't have been able to fly. The good news about a carrier, it's driven the 70 miles we need to drive, and we're now back into the clearance again, and we've positioned ourselves so that we can fly. The thing that's holding the aircraft up is that bad weather we've just left, so that's why they're late.
As big as she is, Queen Elizabeth is still tiny compared to a land-based airfield. And she's moving, rolling and turning all the time.
Midships.
Aircraft will be coming from approximately, from the port side.
The helicopter's approach and landing will be coordinated by the navigation team in the forward island and the air traffic control team in the rear or aft island.
Roger that.
We run the flying program with precision because we have to turn the aircraft carrier to wind. It's a very complicated choreography between the hangar, the deck, the bridge and the flying control to make this whole machine work in sequence, to make sure the aircraft land and take off at the right time. We haven't got the space, like a land-based runway, to have any flexibility, so timing is everything for us to make sure the plan goes smoothly.
And it's these rookie aircraft handlers who will be guiding the aircraft onto the deck, potentially very dangerous. And for most, this will be their first time.
There is nothing that you haven't done on the flight deck during the last few training serials. It's a walk in the park, okay? We're ready to do this. Everyone happy?
Happy? Right, guys, let's do it.
Well done.
Be safe. Come on,
Have we got this aircraft yet? Well done. Happy? Have we let them know about the seabirds? Roger, Dodge. Historical problem with seabirds flying close to the ship. We're just monitoring the seabirds. There's not a lot we can do about it other than go a bit faster and hopefully leave them behind. We certainly wouldn't want one of the helicopters flying into a seabird and getting a bird strike, because that would cause some mayhem. So it's just something we've got to manage. In old money, we'd have probably got out a shotgun and just let them know we were around, but we can't do that anymore.
HMS Queen Elizabeth's flight deck is about to be christened.
Historic moment.
Truly momentous day for not only for the supercarrier, for the Queen Elizabeth class, but for naval aviation. First naval aircraft landing on board the supercarrier. Bloody marvellous. Portent of things to come. Next year it will be jets.
Fantastic. Well, you know, we're 4 days out from sailing from the builder's yard, and here we are with 820 Naval Air Squadron arrived, 2 aircraft. Fantastic.
Aircraft 2 up to the deck, so. Aircraft 2 on deck.
Brilliant. Great for the ship's company to see aircraft on deck. Forgetting a lot of the ship's company have not been to sea before. They're loaded on an aircraft carrier. So to know there's aircraft burning and turning on deck now, it's just another part of the journey ticked off.
First flight deck landing, followed by the first flight deck takeoff. A small step for the helicopters, but a giant leap for Queen Elizabeth.
Oh, brilliant. Fantastic. I've been up here about a year now to see her from day one. From being pretty much a building site to where it is now. It's just totally overwhelming, really, with part of history, isn't it?
Well done.
All right, Andy. This is all chef and steward's mess down here, so there's no one else. Everyone's busy, night workers sleeping. So this is my prayer room here. There's nothing. It's just same. So it's nice and clean. So I can come here whenever I do my prayers 5 times a day. You know, I do have to pray to Mecca, but because the ship keeps on turning and so I can't know where east is all the time. So this is my direction that's my direction. So this is my direction here, so I just pray that way. But it's not only for me, it's anyone who wants to come in and pray, not just Muslims. It's for anyone. When I joined the Navy, it was 2001, and that was when 9/11 happened. Allahu Akbar. But then they soon realized that I'm not like, like the terrorists and all that stuff. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar.
So you don't have any trouble on this ship?
No, not at all. I have never had any trouble on any ship, so far it's been good.
Every sailor has a story to tell. At one extreme, there's Wes and his search for a prayer room.
I'll just police, when they're coming along, I'll just check through
At the other, there's Ricky, the ex-con who's done his time.
I've done a few sort of short sentences, Reading, the same one that Oscar Wilde went to, Feltham in London, Huntercombe, and then Low Newton.
And what was that like?
Yeah, like this, but not as the accommodation wasn't as good. Like, but, I think, to be honest, I think it prepped me for going to sea and things like that. But yeah, it wasn't the best. It wasn't the worst, but it wasn't the best. It's not something I ever want to do again.
And how about the Navy then? How's that treated you?
Yeah, it's been great. It's been great. I just went in and spoke to the careers office. I was really honest with them and just said, look, I haven't been in trouble for a decade. Is there any chance that I'll be allowed to join? And they applied for permission, and yeah, I was given permission to join. So, well, it changed my life, changed the whole course of my life. Like, I joined at 32, and I was crap job to crap job. That had been my life, just always struggling, sort of on the fringes of society. And then all of a sudden, like, I'd say within about 2 years, everything had improved. I'd put on weight, eating properly, bit of self-respect kind of thing. Decent wage, that was the main thing. Money, driving, house.
Yeah.
So yeah, I said I was going to do 4 years, and ended up doubling it up.
The ship has now been at sea for 1 week. The upper deck machine guns are being tested for the first time. These will be used against terrorists or suicide attack by small but fast incoming vessels.
Today is the first day that we've been able to get the weapons up on the mounts and actually test them to make sure that they fire through the right arcs, so that they go as far left, as far right, as far up, as far down as we need them to give us the right coverage. For me, as a gunnery officer, for me it actually caps off the perfect week. On Monday we sailed, so we became a ship. On Friday we landed 2 helicopters on board and launched them again from our deck, so we became an aircraft carrier. And as far as I'm concerned, on Saturday we fired live rounds out of our weapons, so we've become a warship. So it's not a bad first week, really.
Set both levers ahead, 90.
90 ahead, 150 ahead.
Yeah, navigating officer speaking with the SITREP. The big thing for today is to conduct the first of our high-speed trials. We'll be coming up to our top speed for the first time and doing some stops in the water as well. That is all.
This is really letting us stretch our legs now. We've got some clear space of water here. Nice and quiet, not much traffic around, and here we are, beautiful evening. And we're letting her lift her skirts and see what she can do.
Jez Brettle, the navigator, is responsible for getting the diesel-powered supercarrier from A to B. Her propulsion comes from 2 gigantic propellers, providing more thrust than 1,000 family cars.
This aircraft carrier is all about going in a straight line to be able to generate wind over the deck for aircraft, and to be able to go across the world projecting that power.
Queen Elizabeth's range, 10,000 miles on 1 full tank.
Current guess says that we'll move about 80 metres per gallon, so not quite as efficient as your standard car.
20 knots. It's 20 knots.
Both levers ahead, 120.
The bridge is working closely with the ship's control centre, where a team of civilian and naval engineers monitor progress.
I have no issues with going to 150.
Leading them is Scott McLaren for the shipbuilders.
You never know a ship until you take it out, and I think we need to bear in mind this is only the 1 week today the ship went to sea for the first time. She really hadn't turned a blade in anger. We've got a stable plant underneath us, a cracking team here, guys at the top of their game.
It's Scott's job to keep his finger on Queen Elizabeth's pulse as the captain piles on the power. The two 33-ton propellers will now be spun faster and faster by the massive drive shafts, each one generating 50,000 horsepower. They are secured to the hull by thrust blocks, sort of massive vices that hold everything down. Without them, the shafts would spin dangerously out of control.
Speed increasing now. It's 25 knots.
Rate to turn at 50 degrees a minute.
Wheel increasing. Might get a bit more.
There's no vibration. She seems really solid.
Certainly here in the SCC, she's as smooth as I felt any ship at 26, 27 knots. We haven't pushed her right up to her max yet in terms of hull speed, but no, all in all, a successful evening. I'm quite content with the outcome.
There's no glass or anything there, is there?
No, it's just like sort of rubbish, isn't it? Hey, Ricky, seems to be a lot of rubbish today.
Yeah, there is. The machine keeps breaking down, so as much as we try to catch up with it, as we catch up with it, more comes back. It keeps breaking down because people keep putting overalls and stuff out. So like the civvies and that don't give a shit today, so put their trainers and hide stuff, and then it goes through the machine and breaks it. Yeah, but I'd probably do the same if I was a civvy, to be honest. I can't really complain. Yeah, it's just a never-ending battle.
We've done almost 18 hours.
18 hours?
Yeah. Since yesterday we had the whole day, and then this morning we went to breakfast, to do breakfast at 4:30, finished at around 10:30. So we're just having a downtime. The two lads up on top, they finished as well, same time. Chef Elias and Chef Wright. It's very long hours. But we do get time off. So it works out all right.
You still enjoy it?
Yeah, we love it. Leading chef Rai, I first met him in Afghanistan in 2005. Yes. And the temperatures in the tent were going up to 75 degrees.
Wow.
We never even used to cook pasta. We just used to put it in water and let it cook itself. That's how hot it was.
We've got the training parrot. If we look after it, we're going to get a real one for the mess, an African grey, and teach it some Jack speak or some naval language.
Colourful naval language.
Yeah, I'm keen on colourful naval language. Traditions I'm trying to bring back into the Navy. We've got Generation Z joining the Navy now, who are all PlayStations and things like that. And I still think that we can't be a good old messed quiz, build that ethos and bring everyone together, just to get people talking, gelling that ship's company together, and you can't do that playing on a PlayStation.
14.2 nautical miles.
It's now day 8. The engineers, still testing the ship's propulsion, keep spinning the drive shafts at different RPM, or revolutions per minute. But Jez, the navigator, has growing concerns.
That's not good news. Over the past couple of days, as we've been doing the high-speed trials on the bridge, we've been noticing a bit of a wobble as the ship increases speed above certain RPM. It's been noticeable enough that the coffee's been swilling from side to side as we've been sat there, as we've got up to those certain RPM. Last night, some of the officers who live down aft heard some knocking on the shaft. That knocking, coupled with the wobble, means that we're concerned.
And is it worrying?
It's very worrying. We shouldn't wobble that much, and we think it's something to do with the shaft, but we don't know what's causing it.
Knocking aft. That's at the back end of the ship. The engineers are mystified.
They're reporting down there that there is a bit more noise on the starboard side.
you said there is a noise, nothing significant, but it's louder on the starboard side. There's no whipping and scraping, but it is loud.
Reports suggest the knocking is worst on the starboard side, on the right.
We're still learning about this ship, you know, we don't know, you know, it could just be a different ship.
Neil McCullen, nicknamed Scotty, is Commander Marine Engineering. Scotty and Scott put their heads together.
But I think what we need to do now is get to 120, because that's the magic number apparently.
Yeah, let's go up to 120.
120 ahead, Bob.
They decide that there's only one thing for it. Ramp up the revs and listen.
Give Scotty 2 or 3 minutes back after. We'll just settle in now, okay? All right, mate, thank you.
If you go aft, you can get all the vibrations, so you get a much better feel of what's going on.
Deep below the waterline, immediately adjacent to the starboard propeller, it sounds like a washing machine loaded with bricks.
Not much vibration, the starboard sides are damn sight noisier. 120 seems to be the worst, and it seems to be a bit of a sideways shuffle. Yeah, but it seems to be really just localised.
2 big old over 30-ton propellers down there thrashing around at a fairly significant speed on a long lever. There isn't a ship in the world that doesn't make noise back aft.
But then someone notices that the brake disc on the starboard shaft is sparking.
We are seeing problems on the starboard shaft. What you can't smell is the slight smell of burning. Just behind us is the shaft brake, which works broadly exactly the same as the brakes on your car. And there's a distinct smell in the air of burning where the pads are just contacting on the disc, which is, if anybody who's had that in their car will know, it's quite a distinct smell and friction. And we think there's a problem with the shaft.
This gremlin is not going away. The starboard shaft is immediately stopped and locked. Queen Elizabeth proceeds on the port side or left-hand propeller only. It's a big worry. Could this scuttle sea trials altogether? It's the following morning and the ship is stopped mid-ocean. Whatever's wrong is probably lurking underwater.
Just looking along the shaft for any damage.
Almost immediately, the diver identifies a sort of scarring on the starboard shaft.
And it goes anti-clockwise over the top of the shaft.
It looks like there's maybe been something there. There's spiralling that looks like, I don't want to speculate on what it may be. There's been some impact damage to the paint. There's been some spiralling around the starboard shaft. I'm not a betting man, but I think the odds are that it was probably something as simple as a lobster pot or a creel or a mooring buoy or a marker buoy that's maybe been wrapped around the shaft.
Right, does that look straight, John?
That looks spot on, have you got that?
At the end of each shaft is a vast hub onto which the propellers are bolted, and these markings between the blades and their hub must line up exactly to the millimetre.
Okay, that's fine, Joe, carry on.
The 5 blades on the port or left-hand propeller are perfectly aligned, and so are those on the starboard hub. All that is, except one.
Approximately 26 mil.
This blade is a whole 26 millimetres out of alignment. In propeller engineering terms, that might as well be a mile.
I'd be lying if I said I'm not a little bit worried. There appears to have been subjectively a little more movement in that one blade. Now, the reasons behind it, we don't know, we don't understand yet. We need to open up the hub and have a look at it. But this is the one that we need to resolve and fairly quickly so that we can continue with our propulsion trials. But even at that, pressures across the blades are fairly consistent. It still wouldn't force the blades one way or another. It just wouldn't.
Once again, the experts are baffled. How could something as simple as a lobster pot or discarded fishing net bring the most powerful ship ever built for the Royal Navy to a juddering halt? But then inside the ship, engineers make another startling discovery. There's a telltale crack in part of the thrust block. The huge load-bearing vise that anchors the drive shaft to the hull.
So you see there's a large crack running here. This is replicated on the other side, and there's the start of another crack on one of the other base mounts as well.
What's caused that?
I don't want to say precisely because we haven't confirmed it yet, but we suspect it's to do with vibration being caused from a misalignment of a propeller blade. And that's causing a significant amount of vibration to the ship. And now we believe it's also causing damage elsewhere as a result. That's the most likely answer.
It's all very mysterious. The engineers speculate that a lobster pot or something like it got entwined around the starboard propeller, dislodging a single blade. This led to uneven spin that would have decreased efficiency and power. The consequent vibrations, they think, led to the knocking sounds inside the ship and the wobble felt on the bridge. The uneven spin must have led to sparking on the brake pads and ultimately to stress overload and cracking of the thrust block. By the look of things, that lobster pot has a lot to answer for.
Ladies and gentlemen, Captain. So welcome to the
As you're aware, things have been a little bit dominated by the starboard shaft out of action. The plan at present is to go alongside it on the Saturday. Divers will then do the change to the propeller, so the specific blade which is now out of position will be put back into position. I think that pretty much is the starboard shaft.
So Queen Elizabeth must go in for repairs. Luckily, she's already due a 4-day stop in Invergordon to take on fuel and stores. But now it'll be a pit stop to try and mend a broken supercarrier. But on the way in, an unexpected meeting.
Dear Navigating Officer speaking. Our namesake, the cruise liner Queen Elizabeth, has just sailed from Invergordon. All personnel on board are encouraged to come up to the flight deck to see our namesake. It's the first time the two Queen Elizabeths have been at sea together. That is all.
Which Queen Elizabeth would you rather be on?
Well, with the gin and tonic on that one, but with all my men and my women on here.
Good answer.
After chatting in fluent foghorn, the two ships of the same name go their separate ways. Cruise ship, full steam ahead to the Norwegian fjords and a lifestyle of unadulterated luxury. And warship, well, put it this way, the pyrolysis plant has now completely given up the ghost, and the rubbish, or gash as the sailors call it, is piling up everywhere.
This is the most advanced pyrolysis plant in any navy serving anywhere in the world, which is great. And we got 2 of them. It would help massively if it worked. It does actually work, it's just not working at the moment.
If you just put it in that box, please, mate. What's that? Is that just domestic? There's no metal or...
One hopes that as we get through this prototype phase, we in the first commission, we're probably being challenged more so than other ships companies that will follow us. And that's fine, you know, we know that.
Invergordon, a stopping-off point to the Highlands for luxury cruise ships, is both a repair yard and a graveyard for old oil rigs, and soon to be haven for its first ever supercarrier.
Oh look, the tug's putting on a spray, downwind. There's a cruise liner in.
Actually, it's like a block of flats, isn't it? Yeah.
The youngsters, many of them are brand new to being at sea. I think getting ashore and finding a hot spot for their Wi-Fi will be in their minds, I imagine. And then we'll just see how the repairs go and get out where we can. So hopefully the divers will be in the water by this evening.
Work on the starboard propeller starts immediately. They have to find out how a lobster pot, if that's what it was, dislodged a 6-ton blade. Inside the ship, the engineers continue to investigate that mysterious crack in the thrust block. But for everybody else, it's time to rid the ship of rubbish. Mountains of it.
Best bits of the Navy. Hey, this is what I joined up for.
So you're enjoying this today?
I wouldn't say enjoying it. The sooner it gets done, though, the sooner I get to get off ship.
What is this stuff?
The pyrolysis plant, when working, needs only a handful of sailors to man it. But broken means hundreds are needed for human gas chains, ratings and officers alike.
Scotty, everyone's a link in the gas chain.
Oh yeah, well, we all eat it, we all produce it, so it's a whole hands in to get rid of the gas.
I've been some right stinkers go by, honking.
Over the next few days, the divers work round the clock. By day, the sailors clean the ship and bring on stores. By night, they're allowed ashore to enjoy one or other of Invergordon's 2 pubs.
Right, who's in? Who's in?
But as investigations underwater and on the shaft continue, the original 4 days stretch to 1 week, and then 2 weeks.
They're at times noisy, I think that's fair to say, but yeah, from no crime reported to us, which is a good thing. We did hear that one of the pubs ran out of beer last night, so I'm sure they're very happy.
We've been here for 14 days now. It would be nice to have gone a lot earlier than we have, but unfortunately the engineering issues have prevented that from happening.
Do you think morale's taking a bit of a hit just because we've been here so long?
Yeah, it does. It absolutely does, yeah. A sailor wants to go to sea, and we're still learning how the ship operates, and we can only do that at sea.
Finally, a breakthrough in the investigations. The divers have discovered a mangled rubber seal under the dislodged blade. It must have slipped out of its groove when the propellers were first assembled. Because this would have prevented perfect contact between the metal surfaces, it meant that the bolts were never quite as tight as the engineers thought. The blade would only need a nudge to slip out of place. Enter the much maligned lobster pot, thought to be the villain of the piece. Not anymore.
For the shaft, it was exceptionally good fortune that this happened. Because initially we thought we only had a propeller issue. It's only when we had the crack on the thrust block, we got an indication that something wasn't right. The thrust blocks themselves are attached to the ship by these large bolts here. Originally there had been 10 large bolts. That had been reduced to 4 and 6 smaller bolts. From the original calculations, that was all perfectly safe. But the engineers rechecked the calculations of the forces that are going through. And that's when we discovered that, unfortunately, several years ago, and I mean several years ago, a mistake was made. The mistake had not been found. It had been carried through as effectively a good number. And all the checks thereafter had been on the basis that the calculations required for that were good. And as we found out, they were not quite as good as we needed. They didn't have the safety margin.
It's like a Sherlock Holmes plot. And the original suspect, a drifting lobster pot, has turned out to be the hero of the piece. If it had not dislodged the propeller, causing the mysterious knocking sounds, the sparking, that telltale crack, the engineers might never have noticed that there was a hidden weakness in the thrust block before it was too late. The guilty party, an historic error in calculations. But the really big question, what might have happened if the error had not been discovered in time?
Now, the worst case scenario is if the thrust block had failed, it wouldn't be able to hold the shaft in place, and effectively the shaft would probably break free. We'd probably have damaged the propulsion motor, which could have caused a fire here, but where the stern seal is, we could have damaged the stern seal and caused the flood there. This is the shaft turning and locking and braking mechanism. Again, it could have pulled that free, which could have caused a fire there.
The doomsday outcome, then, could have been multiple fires and floods, probable casualties, and the ship laid up for months.
Thankfully, for once, a bit of bad luck has turned into a bit of good fortune. So, thank God for a lobster pot or a rope. Something simple has saved us a lot of time and a lot of money.
Sometimes it takes a gremlin to catch a gremlin. And the solution after all that is remarkably simple. Steel reinforcements are welded in to strengthen the thrust block.
It looks very simple and it looks very agricultural, which in some ways it is, but actually the design work that's gone into it has been very robust, and they've done a lot of good work on that.
Pretty basic for a state-of-the-art ship.
Yeah, well, it is. For some things, technology sort of reaches a pinnacle, and and that's it. This ship floats on a principle that Archimedes worked out in his bath several thousand years ago. It's just how it is.
All parts of ship, let go, all rise.
Roger, Mason, thank you. Good. Jack's coming down. Excellent.
After an unexpected 2 weeks in Invergordon, Queen Elizabeth can return to sea. Having limped in on one propeller, she's going out on two. The thrust blocks will be closely monitored from now on.
It wouldn't be sea trials if we weren't dealing with issues like this. While she's at a fantastic level of maturity, given that she's essentially a prototype, so it's not surprising that we're finding issues that need to be dealt with, but the level of engineering expertise that's on the ship, I have no question that we will deal with this in the appropriate manner.
The ship's company, after an extended run ashore, are back where they want to be.
Bit of an epic the last couple of weeks trying to get things sorted, but we're done. Engineers have done an amazing job, so I'm very pleased to be back out.
And a lot of work to do.
A lot of work to do now, yes. We've got to just really get into the stride now of really testing and putting it through our paces. So we've got the whole of the North Sea, got 3,500 tonnes of fuel, full ship's company. So yeah, we're good to go. Real incentive now to just crack on and do it, get it sorted.
Tomorrow, sea trials resume, but will that starboard propeller stay in place? For ship and ship's company, there's unfinished business and a lot to prove.
Yeah, mate, stick it in a cardboard bit. There's no like metal or glass, mate. There's no metal or glass.
Half ahead both engines, revolution 90.
Half ahead both engines, revolutions 90.
Next time, a dramatic rendezvous with the US Navy. British pilots in America fly the aircraft destined for Queen Elizabeth. New sailor Kirsty struggles with weapon drills. And old hand Bob Hawkins opens up his heart.
Britain's biggest warship continues next Sunday night at 8. Next here on BBC Two, Will Millard makes his second trip to visit a tribe that has only been introduced to the modern world 40 years ago. And there's new drama starting over on BBC One right now. The Woman in White tells the story of two half-sisters caught up in a deadly conspiracy.